The next day, Linda and Kathesha arrived at the library and saw Mrs. Hillerworth at the front desk reading a Sherlock Holmes novel while eating an apple. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Hillerworth," Linda said. Mrs. Hillerworth looked up, saw Linda and Kathesha, and responded, "Hello, girls. How may I help you?" "We're here as usual, looking for something new and exciting to read," Linda said. As she and Kathesha then disappeared into the big library of books, Darren arrived and approached the front desk. "May I help you?" Mrs. Hillerworth asked him. "Yes, you can," Darren replied. "I was wondering if you kept any musical audio cassettes." "We do indeed," said Mrs. Hillerworth, before leading him to the music section of the library. When he got there and Mrs. Hillerworth returned to the front desk, Darren immediately caught sight of an audio cassette of music from the show Barney and Friends. Then he spotted the album Dreamland by Black Box. He picked up the Black Box tape and approached the front desk to sign it out. In a kind tone of voice, Mrs. Hillerworth told him, "The tape is due in a week, sir." "Thank you," Darren said before exiting the library. Meanwhile, Linda and Kathesha were in the classic fiction section of the library. They spotted the novel Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. They then picked it up and brought it to the front desk where Mrs. Hillerworth was. They signed it out when they got there. As they made their way to the nearest intersection, Linda and Kathesha came across a newspaper box. Inside was a copy of that day's newspaper with the following front page headline: "Former cop quits job to write for local weekly magazine." Below the headline was a picture of Darren, which in turn had a caption below it which read as follows: "Former cop Darren Leckis cited dissatisfaction with police work as the reason he resigned. He will become a reporter for the upcoming new Favorites Weekly." Linda and Kathesha bought a copy of that newspaper and then resumed walking toward the nearest intersection. Meanwhile, Darren arrived at his new job at the office headquarters of Favorites Weekly. Upon sitting down at his desk, the editor-in-chief approached him and asked, "How are you today, sir?" "Not bad," replied Darren as he handed her a rough draft of his first assignment. "Here's a rough draft for you." "Hey, thanks, Jennifer," Jennifer responded as she took the rough draft and proceeded toward her desk. Approximately 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Darren was waiting for the bus at the terminal downtown. Just then, Linda and Kathesha approached the bus stop and waited for the bus. They spotted Darren and vice versa, and so Linda said, "Hey Darren, how's your new job?" "Just great," Darren answered. "This is the best I've felt since high school." "I'm glad to hear that," Kathesha responded.